This is the Life's Journey with Best Friends podcast. Listen as two best friends for over 40 years share our experiences, insights, and unique stories. All right, so we are finally back after weeks and weeks, and we thought we came back and then we didn't. But so here we are. Welcome. If this is your first time, this is Life's Journey with Best Friends. We're so excited that you're here, and I am Noelle.
And I'm Diana.
And this is just kind of where we sit around and talk about shit and shit talk and just, whatever life's going on, what's going on in our lives. Yep. So first of all, Diana, how is it living up north and down south? So Diana has moved down to South Carolina, but now she's back up here for a little
bit. It's hectic. Yeah. It's definitely very hectic. I don't know where I'm going, when I'm coming back. But I do love it. So
that's good.
Been a lot of fun. Yeah. I leave again on Sunday.
Yeah. So Dave and I did go down and visit Diana and her husband down in their new house, which is absolutely beautiful. We had a complete blast. Let me tell you, if you guys like the beach and you like the New England area, if I could compare it kind of, it's like combination of Salisbury and Hampton, but 1,000 times bigger and better. So if you guys like that atmosphere, South Carolina, Myrtle Beach is definitely the place to go. You took us to, what was that place that I compared to the Disney Boardwalk?
It's called Broadway at the beach. It's a lot of fun.
Oh my gosh.
It has stores and restaurants and rides and all kinds of.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane. It was so much fun. We had a blast.
But we did the piano bar there.
Yeah, well, we had a really good time there. So did your husband. So did Jim. Yeah, Jim had a great time.
He had too good of a time.
But it was nice to fly down, and I was so excited to see you. We ran into each other. We hadn't seen each other in a while, and it was awesome. But I do want to say that people down there are so nice. So what's the difference between the people down there and up here? Was it just because we were, vacationing, the people were nice?
They're so nice down there. Everywhere you go, it's, they're just way more friendlier, it's, I don't know, it's totally different atmosphere down there than it is up here.
Does anyone ask you where you're from because of your accent?
Yes, I get that a lot. I get that people think I'm from New York. I'm like, no.
No, that's the biggest insult. Come on.
I know. I try to hide my accent, but I don't think there's hiding it.
No.
At least my kids say I can't hide it.
No, I think even if we try, I think we tend, when we're together, and especially if we've been drinking, it just comes out. It's just heavier.
Especially if we're drinking.
Yeah. It's just absolutely awful. And when I think that I don't have it, when I listen to myself in the podcast, I'm like, okay, I've been trying not to have it. It's just there. There's nothing you can do.
You can't hide it. It's just go with the flow. That's what I finally come to deal with. Come to terms.
There were quite a few people with Southern accents. For whatever reason, I didn't think there was going to be a Southern accent just in South Carolina. Yeah. It was mostly the people that worked at the restaurants, our waitresses and stuff.
Yeah.
I noticed it. So
yeah, I mean, we've had people come to the house and do work, and you just talk to everybody. And I've only met one person who isn't a transplant.
Really?
Everybody else is from everywhere. New York, Massachusetts, Pennsylvania, Georgia. I mean, they come from Virginia, everywhere. Everybody's just moved down there.
That's crazy. I wonder why that is. Is it just why is everyone moving there?
It's so much cheaper. Especially if you're from the Northeast. So much cheaper. Yeah. When we talk to people, and even like comparing like Dunkin' Donuts up here to, I think it's a $2 difference down there.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
crazy.
Yeah, I noticed that when we did go out for breakfast and dinner, it was, it was cheaper, although the Broadway boardwalk or whatever that was. I mean,
That's the
tourist,
touristy
yeah,
place. You're not going to find cheaper deals at the touristy
right,
places.
right.
Not at all.
No. But yeah, it was definitely a lot of fun. I can't wait to go back and hang out with you. So, as much as I was upset that you moved, I'm kind of happy. So now I have a place to go.
That's what I keep trying to tell you.
I know, I know. So it was awesome. So thank you for having us, by the
Oh,
way.
anytime.
Yeah, it was great. We'll have to do a live show or something from down there so everyone can see what we've been experiencing. So
Yeah.
yeah, we did this like kind of booze cruise thing too, which was fun.
Oh yeah, it's called the Pie-Dye Parrot.
The pie
And
dye parrot.
it's a sunset booze cruise.
Yeah.
Lots of fun. We took my parents on it because they came down the weekend after you with Lauren and Will and Jason. And my parents had a blast. They were dancing. They were having a lot of fun.
That's awesome. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
absolutely beautiful.
My mom did Jello shots. It was crazy.
Oh my gosh, that's great. So see, everyone, there's something for everyone down there.
Yeah, lots of fun.
That's awesome. Um, that, that's cool. So anything else like that's, I can't even imagine like you've now have two homes that you've had to move into. You must be like, I don't want to ever move
Ugh.
ever again.
I'm telling you, I haven't not moved in 20 something years. You
Right,
know, it was like hell. At
right,
least, I mean, at least down there, we brought nothing. So it was all just going to the store and having to get.
right,
Here, the house that I'm in Chelmsford, you know, we packed all our shit up for Woburn, and I still haven't gotten everything out of
right,
storage. I have half my clothes. You know, it's because we can't concentrate. We keep going back and forth.
right, right. Well,
So
that's a big reason why we haven't recorded is because you have been moving stuff and doing,
everything.
it's been insane. So yeah,
I
so hopefully
finally
things will
have,
get back to normal now.
yeah, I think Chelmsford is definitely more organized than it has been.
Good.
It's not 100% done, but I've got stuff hanging on the walls now, and as you can
Yeah,
see, there's still got a box in my thing that's
yeah.
Jason's bed frame. That's getting put together this weekend. So
Oh,
it's been a lot.
oh, good. Well, I'm glad you're finally getting settled and you're happy. You're so happy you made this change still.
Yeah, very
Good,
happy.
good.
Most of the time I wish I was still down there.
I
Because it's
bet.
brand new and stuff, you know what I mean? It's like
Right.
nothing has to be done.
So our executive producer, Julie, and I went on this awesome weekend. Go ahead. You can make all the faces you want, Diana, but
No,
the
I think it's funny. I'm not saying anything bad.
so we went to the 50th anniversary of Little House on the Prairie. It was down in Connecticut. I can't, Julie, what was the name of the place that we were at?
Hillstead Museum.
Yes, that's what it was. And it was this beautiful little place, a gorgeous museum. I can't even imagine if a wedding was there. I mean, that would be gorgeous. The grounds were beautiful. It was perfect for what it was. And they had some of the cast members there, and you got
That
to
must have
meet
been
them.
cool.
Yeah, and get their autograph and your pictures taken with them, and it was nice. It's long, long lines though, which
Yeah.
was
That's
unfortunate.
amazing to me that there's that many people
Oh,
that
huge.
remember.
Well,
So we had one of the castmates that we got to, castmate and part of the Landon family, Leslie Landon. She was telling us that so the first reunion event they had was out in Simi Valley, California,
Okay.
where the show had been filmed on the grounds where it had been filmed. They had over 18,000 people show up over the course of the 3 days that they
Oh
had it
my
out.
gosh, that's crazy.
insane. Yes.
And from all over the world too. Like this
Yeah.
they have a huge following in France, but I think the show is in like, I don't know how many countries and how many languages, but they've said that before. It's like, it's such a phenomenon around the world. So some of some of the cast has done this for a long time. You know, they've been doing this. Alison Ingram, who played Nellie, she has been doing these kinds of cast events. I think Patrick Labateau, who played Andy Garvey's been doing them. But this was the first time Noelle and I got to meet the cast. So this was the fulfillment of a childhood dream. Oh my God. I was
Unreal.
dying.
Was it unreal?
So unreal. It
It
was
was
crazy.
everything was absolutely worth it just to see Julie's face when she saw Albert, when she saw, oh my gosh, like she was like, what am I gonna say? What should I wear?
I
Like,
really
I don't know what
did. I'm like, I don't know, I don't know what to say. I don't know what I'm gonna. I'm like, I can't just go up there and not say something, or you know. I'm like,
How are you?
Oh my gosh, yes. So, you know, and like her jaw dropped when she saw him. It was so, so awesome. And the permanent smile that was on her face was just so well worth everything. So we're standing there and we're taking a picture with him. So we did a joint picture together and then one of her by herself. But as we're standing together, I said to him, I have to ask you a question. And his wife, who's taking our picture, beautiful
Yeah.
woman, she says, oh, what are you going to ask? Why did he marry me? And I'm like, no, you're beautiful. I'm like, I want to know why he never wrote Julie back.
Did he die?
He was
no,
kind
he
of like,
was so
what?
sincere about it. He was so sincere about it. He's like, what do you mean? And I said, it was 40 years ago. I was 12.
I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it. It was an accident. Oh, I didn't mean it.
And he turns to me and he goes, I'm going to remedy that for you right now. And he goes, what is your name? And I said, Julie. And he goes, dear Julie. And he basically like wrote a letter back to me standing in front of me. And I'm like staring into his eyes. He's got these big brown eyes with long black eyelashes. And I'm just
my
like, and I was like, I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna cry.
She
Oh,
totally
Julie,
did.
So sweet.
That's awesome.
So sweet.
Oh my
Really
gosh, it
good.
was.
The fact
Well,
that, you
because
know,
they
lines-
always say you shouldn't meet your childhood idol because it might be ruined, but
Might
it
be
does not
disappointed.
sound like that.
Yeah.
No, he was such a pleasure. He was so nice. He was so engaged. He was
See, I love
just
that.
everything that you
knew
could
his
possibly
audience.
imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They
that's
all,
great.
honestly, they all were. They were
They
so
all were.
phenomenal. Yeah. There were a few issues with the company that put this
There were a
all
few issues.
together.
There were a few issues with Julie too, but
You, Julie?
me, Julie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No
Oh,
issues.
funny though. Oh yeah.
So,
No,
yeah,
no.
you need to tell the story. So she went down the day before me.
Okay.
So you need to tell
Yeah.
Diana what
So-
happened.
So I had booked these tickets like months before. And somehow in my head, now the events took place on a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Somehow
Okay.
in my head, I had decided that Noelle and I were going on Friday and Saturday. Don't know why I thought that. So it was getting closer, and I said, "Oh, I got to book a hotel because we're staying overnight." So I booked the hotel for Friday night. As
Okay.
the time gets closer, I am, you know, and I sent Noelle all the information. As the time gets closer, I look at my tickets. I go, tickets aren't for Friday, Saturday. They're for Saturday, Sunday. So I'm like, oh crap,
No.
I got to
Yeah.
change the hotel. So I tried to change the hotel, and I couldn't.
Look.
So I'm like, all right, maybe I could just add a day and, you know, still go down Friday and add a day. Couldn't do that. So I booked a different hotel. I won't name the town because there's more to this and I don't want anybody from the town to get mad at me. But booked another hotel for the second day in that town. It's about 20
Okay.
minutes where the event was. So, you know, send Noelle the information. I'm like, okay, Saturday, this is where we're staying. So Friday, I drive, I go down. I had a couple of stops to make, get down there in the evening, like dinner-ish time. I pull off the highway into the parking lot and I'm like, oh no, this is not good. And I'm like,
Really?
It's one of those not hotel. It was one of those motels that like a
No,
chain bought. And I walk in the front door and the bell, the guy at the front desk says, he's kind of looking at me like, what are
are
you
you
doing?
here? Yeah.
I'm like, okay. So I go to my room. On the first floor, the door, goes right out to the parking lot, of course. And I'm like, oh, this is not good. And I'm like, oh, I can't do this to Noelle. Like, I'll stay here tonight, but tomorrow we have to change the hotels. So I go online and I change the hotel and I send it to Noelle. And
At this
it's like,
point, I
okay.
have no idea what the hell we're
I
saying.
know.
I'm
I'm
like,
like,
I'll
yeah,
wait till
just text me in the
tomorrow.
morning. I'll tell you where to go. So now this is the third hotel I have sent to Noelle. I am like, and then so as I'm sitting in this hotel room, it's getting a little creepier. There's some, noises in the room next door, people screaming, laughing, and I'm like, just getting a really uneasy
Yeah.
feeling.
Vibe.
So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna see if I could change that to tonight and tomorrow. So I go back on to look at the hotel and try to log on to change the nights. I booked a hotel in New Mexico.
Shut up, Julie. What the freak?
Instead of Farmington, Connecticut, I had put in, I guess I just put in Farmington and I ended up picking a hotel in New Mexico. I'm like,
Oh my God.
what is wrong with me? So I'm like, at this point, I'm like, I'm gonna lose my mind. And I'm like, and I gotta get out of here because the noises are
Right.
getting louder. I'm like, so I went on and found a Hampton Inn in Farmington, Connecticut. And I'm like making sure and I'm looking at it and everything. And I'm like, oh my God. So I finally like booked that. My stuff was pretty much still packed up. I hadn't
Yeah.
even packed, threw everything in the car and like hauled ass out of there. And I'm calling Noelle to tell her the whole story. I'm just like, oh my
Another
God.
hotel.
And I'm
So
like,
that is what, 5 hotels in all?
Oh
And
my God.
well, I gotta say, the last hotel that we ended up staying was
it was
absolutely
lovely.
perfect. It was
Yeah.
beautiful. It was great.
really nice.
Good.
Yes, it was
And
very, very nice.
there were other bonnet heads staying there too. So
Yeah. Yeah.
Bonnet
Oh,
heads.
yes. And that's what we're called. The Little House in the Prairie fans are called bonnet heads. I didn't know that. So that was a little weird.
That's so funny. What
Yeah.
do they say? Like, oh, welcome, bonnet heads.
No.
Yeah, Allison Ingram does. She
Yeah.
that kind of came from, she did a lot over COVID on Facebook, and that's kind of where that came from. So she'll refer to people as bonnet heads.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Yeah. So there were a lot of people dressed up in costume. So I will say that the majority of the guests, the people that came, were a lot older than us. And I was surprised
Really?
at that. But when I thought about it, I'm like, okay, so this was probably a show that people watched with their families. And now, their kids are grown too, they're our age, but it still had a sentimental thing to them. So
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, that made sense. And then, following all the stuff on Facebook, there were people from Canada there were people from England there. It was absolutely amazing. And everyone in line, like, you just talked, and it was a really, really good time. However, it was very mismanaged by the management group that did it, not from the people the
Not
cast
the
members. Yeah. The
Kind of like
cast
the
members
Fry
were.
Festival.
Yeah. Oh
It's like,
gosh.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We could talk about that too. But
Fire
yeah, it was
Festival on the
kind of like the
Prairie.
Fry
Oh, the
Festival.
Fire
I didn't
Festival.
even
That's what
think
it's
of
called.
that.
Not Fry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we should suggest that. We'll suggest that name to Dean Butler, Fire Festival on the Prairie.
Yeah. There
Yeah.
you go. So there was a dinner that was quite expensive, but they were doing the cast members were going to be there, and they were doing this whole presentation from Michael Landon, and there was an auction and stuff. So they way, way, way overbooked it. And
No.
oh yeah. So we were sitting, yeah, we were kind of sitting in the back. You couldn't hear anything. And, I feel bad. A lot of people left early. We stayed. We ate, we didn't get the best food, but whatever. You know what? We were like, living it up, having a good time. They ran out of water. That was the only drink that they had. Yeah, it was weird. They didn't even have a cash bar or anything, but it was like,
No.
okay, you know what? We're just going to go with the flow, which I'm glad we did. But there was one thing that they had a script, and all the cast members offered to sign it. So this script, there's only 3 in the world. One was at where were they, Julie? The Smithsonian.
Smithsonian. One
I-
was in a private collection,
And
and
then
then the
there's
one
the-
that they were auctioning
And
off.
then this one, but this one is the only one that will have all these signatures on it. It ended up going for over $5,000.
Wow.
And it was so awesome to watch it go back and forth. It was a lot
It
of
was a
fun
lot
because
of fun.
the cast members were out there like saying, oh, this one's bidding. So they're standing right in front of you. So, you know, I feel bad for the people that left early because they were frustrated. They didn't get to experience all of that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
really
that's
was.
the-
If you stayed, you had a great time because
Yeah.
they, like Noelle said, they literally came table to table. Like we got a great picture with Allison Ingram, and Matthew Labatelle was standing like right by me, and I actually took a picture of him with someone else for them. Dean Butler was walking around, Leslie Landon,
Yeah.
the Wendy who played Baby Grace was there, very pretty woman.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was so cool, and they were having a good time too.
Yeah,
You know, the
they
cast was
totally-
really having
Yeah.
a lot of fun at the auction.
yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it was a lot of fun. I'm so glad we did it. And unfortunately, because this organization that put it all together did such a bad thing, or they were just terribly organized with us, and then one that happened in Pennsylvania was the other one,
Yeah.
that the cast has literally kind of fired them. And
Really?
yeah, none of the other shows are going on around the country, so we really lucked out. Yeah, so I was happy with
Yeah,
that.
they
Just-
they sent a message. It's pretty dramatic. And the cast was really nice in the letter that they sent because they're like, you know, we hate to do this to our fans, but they come first. And there were so many issues with the 2 events, the one in Connecticut and the one in
It's
Pennsylvania.
not worth doing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they said it even like, because one of the things, the lines were so long, you had to wait hours and hours, and there were a lot of older people, and there were
Yeah.
people who were disabled, and like,
Yeah.
you know, just, you know, and I think a lot of people walked away disappointed because they only got to see like one cast member after spending, you know, all
2
this time.
hours or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah,
That sucks.
yeah. We did luck out. I had been on the Facebook group the night before or the day before, and then they said, oh, you know, the lines are really long, you know, you should really get there first. And I was like, oh, we're going right to, you know, line number 2 or whatever it was, because otherwise we would never get to see them. So
Yeah,
yeah, but it was a lot of fun. It was good.
yeah.
know,
it
Glad
was
you
the
guys had a good
experience of a
time.
lifetime. Yeah, it was the experience of a lifetime. We really
Yeah.
had a
Oh,
good time.
absolutely.
And Noelle, the other little thing, so in between going to the meet and greet and the dinner, we had gone back to the hotel, the right hotel. And I come out, Noelle goes, look what's on TV. And it was The Outsiders. Another, like, you know, another thing that Noelle and I bonded over in our
Yes.
early days of our friendship.
It was like they knew, you know, that we were there. So yeah, it was fun.
That's
We
so
had a great
funny.
time. Yeah.
I'm just glad that meeting your idol wasn't ruined,
I know.
you know, because like I said, they say, you know, it always is a letdown.
Yeah,
It can be a letdown, so
Can
I'm
be.
glad.
yeah.
I know.
It
I was like, Julie, you need to dress up and go to the local bars and see if he's hanging out. You never know.
like with his wife.
We didn't know that she was there. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's so funny. Very funny. That's awesome. I'm glad you guys had a great time.
yeah, it was awesome. So that was the first time I had ever done anything like that. Like, I don't want to call it like a Comic-Con, but whatever that is that they, you know, have all those people meet and greets. It was fun. I think I would totally do that again for, you know, something else. I don't know what I would be, but yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, I would love to do like, that's what it reminded me of, like a Comic-Con or
Yeah.
some type of thing like that. I would do that.
I went to a fan expo a couple of years ago with my brother and my niece in Boston, and It was really, that was very well organized. It was expensive. The four hobbits were there. Sean Astin, Dominic
Oh, no way.
Monaghan, yeah, Elijah Wood, and Billy Boyd. And they did a forum, so we got to see them up on stage. Ewan McGregor was there. A bunch of people. Oh, William Zabka, and we didn't pay to get the photos or signatures. We just kind of stood back and pretended we were taking pictures of each other and like over the shoulder getting pictures because they were like $60. Those ones.
Well,
Really?
yeah,
Yeah,
Each
Yeah.
picture?
yeah. At
Wow.
the Little House on the Prairie, it was $10.
Yeah, see, that's reasonable.
Yeah,
well, that happened. So Nick went to one of those things and he met John Cusack and he was going to get his autograph from me. And it was like $70. I was like, and he didn't get it. I'm like, thank God, I would have been so mad at you.
$70?
$70. But then he was like, well, I shook his hand and I'm like, which hand did you
Just
touch?
touch me
You know,
with
like,
it.
let me Yeah, so that was a really fun weekend. I'm so glad we did that, Julie. Thank you for inviting me along.
oh, thank you for coming with me. I think I said thank you to Noelle like 75 times on Sunday.
That's
She did.
awesome.
It was fun. It was good. It was good. All right, so now I know we want to do a little bit of a follow-up on the Karen Reed thing because we haven't talked about that in a little while. And 2020 just did a whole segment on,
Yes.
was 2 hours long.
So I fell asleep. I didn't get to see the end of it. And then when I went to look for it on demand, because we're not having cable, I had a hard time. So I was like, screw it. So
did
I
watch-
didn't watch the end of it. I watched the beginning and I was highly disappointed.
So I did watch the whole thing and the basically if you didn't know anything about the story, this was a good overview. It kind of talked about everything. I would say, in my opinion, the first half of it really was kind of against her. It sounded
That's
like
how I felt. And that's the only part I saw. So
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this is making me mad because it's
Yeah.
making her look bad.
Yeah. So the second half of it, they did really talk about the party that he went to. They really didn't get into any details. They did talk about Proctor a little bit and how some of the things, what he said that were derogatory. But the one
They
thing-
didn't go into Albert and all that. That made me so mad.
No, they really didn't at all. The one thing, though, I will say that I took away from that, and I'll be honest, I'm guilty of it, is I kind of lost sight that this man died.
It is
and
very
I
sad.
Yeah, and I did not realize that when the family would leave the courtroom, they had to have police officers surrounding them because people were harassing them and calling them cop killers. Like, okay,
know.
wait a minute. They lost a family member. Do you even know who you're talking to? That
I
made
know.
me angry. I'm like, okay, these people are just kind of going with the flow and not even understanding what the hell is going on. And I'm like, okay, that's not okay at all,
No, it really isn't. I mean, they lost son, brother, the
Yeah,
kids that, his niece and nephew. It's very sad. They lost their parents and now they lost their adopted father.
right.
It just, you can't lose sight of that. But you also do not want an innocent person going to jail for something they didn't
absolutely.
commit.
Right.
And,
No,
and I'm
absolutely
not
not.
saying that you should harass the family. I hate that,
No, I don't even understand why they're doing that. Like, I don't.
I don't
get-
either, but I don't understand how they have blinders on and don't see the evidence that was presented.
Yeah. So, I don't even know if we've talked about that. It was a hung jury, and then
I think we
So-
did.
did we? Okay, I
Yeah.
couldn't remember. So, all right. Yeah. So we're gonna find out what happens next. They're gonna retry her, and this whole circus is
I-
gonna start all over again.
I just don't understand how they're gonna get a clean jury pool. How? I
don't know.
mean, everybody knows about it. Everybody. I mean, it's got national news. It was just on 2020.
Right, yeah,
So
I don't know.
how are you going to get people that aren't biased one way or another
Yeah,
without
that's gonna be
corruption?
interesting to see, unless people lie to get on the jury, but I don't know.
Which happens all the time. I
Yeah.
just feel like this, I mean, I don't know. I don't think she's she's gonna get off because I feel like this family that's involved is just very well connected with the underworld.
Yeah, the underworld. Well, and speaking of well-connected, there's another case now that's going on in
That's
Massachusetts.
kind of connected to this case,
Yeah,
the
Sandra
Karen Reed
Birchmore.
case.
Yeah,
Right. There's
yeah, so,
there's a lot of the investigators that are involved from the same case. I mean,
So-
the Karen Reed case.
yeah. So talk about the Sandra Birchmore, talk about what that case is.
That poor girl, man. She started out going to a like police camp. And this cop kind of groomed her to be his quote unquote, this is my opinion, not anybody else's, his sex slave. And basically she was started out at 12, and by the time she was 15, the cop that was running the camp was sleeping with her.
Mhm.
She ended up getting pregnant. He's obviously a lot older than her, one and a police officer. So one, it's statutory rape. Two, he was married. And three, he's a police officer. So long story short, and there's a lot of details, cops are intertwined between the Sandra Birchmore and Karen Reed. And so what happened was she ended up killing herself. So they said, that's what the police said. They didn't find when they investigated, nothing to do with her sleeping with the cop. I think his name is Farwell. And they couldn't find anything. They ruled it a suicide. Her family fought, said it wasn't. She would never. She was so happy about having a baby. And come to find out, cops mishandled the case. And they have now arrested Farwell for murder of her. They have all kinds of text messages. I thought I read, and I need to look this up, but I thought I read that the night he killed her, and framed it to make it look like a suicide, and all his buddies helped him out, his wife gave birth. So he left, murdered her, and went to the hospital for his wife to give birth.
That is
Good guy.
correct. Yeah,
Good guy.
you did read that. Yes, that's correct. So I know Julie has her niece, your niece lived in that town as well
Yeah.
too.
My sister lived in Stoughton for a number of years, and both of her girls grew up there. And so the younger of the two, she knew the girl because they're only a few years apart. And I don't know how well she knew her, but she knew the story before it really caught
Really?
the attention of the news.
So a lot
Yeah.
of people
It was
knew
all-
about it beforehand.
Yeah. When she passed away, when Sandra Birchmore passed away in 2021, they were already talking about the fact that this officer was involved. Like they knew about all of this. And it's really horrible. She was 23 years old. She was actually excited to be having a baby.
She wanted this baby.
Probably she probably had no idea. Like, I mean, obviously she knew he was married, but like this is part of the psychotic, this guy when they groom these people, and she probably
He's a sexual predator.
Oh,
Yes,
absolutely. And I mean,
absolutely.
there's more detail to this. Like, I don't know if this has been substantiated, but there was discussion that it wasn't just him; his brother was also
Yes.
involved.
I did
and
read that.
I think another cop.
I believe so too, Julie.
Really disgusting. So disgusting.
Well-
Here are these people responsible for these young kids at a police
A
camp
camp.
where, you think you can send your kid, and be safe. And this is going on. It's absolutely disgusting.
Yeah,
So
and they
I,
definitely, they preyed on her. She had a lot of issues growing up. She didn't have the best family life, so they kind of saw that and they capitalized on it. And that's what these predators do. And regardless of what it is that they do for a living, what their job is, clearly it doesn't matter.
know.
If they're a predator, they're a predator.
Yeah.
So
What's funny is that so he is in custody and they were supposed to have a detention hearing, and his team ordered filed an order for voluntary detention. So basically, like, he didn't want to, I don't know if he doesn't have a place to go or if he's in fear of his life or what, but he basically wanted to stay in jail until his next court appearance.
really,
Yeah.
Oh
wonder how,
my.
his
know
wife
what
is
that
a
means.
lawyer.
Yeah.
Imagine that. His wife is a lawyer. And
Wow.
you know what else I heard? When they were investigating and they were saying to look at him, and they were like, no, they're like, check the phone records. They're like, nope, no text messages between them at all. Come to
Mhm.
find out, I think it was the FBI that uncovered all this. Found 32,000 text messages between Farwell and Birchmore.
Yeah.
Imagine that. So they were, if they're lying for this case, what have they lied for the Karen Reed case?
Right.
I don't know
Yeah.
how they can retry her. I honestly, that it's just so much shit tied in.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I guess with this case, once it gets to court, we'll find out and things will just all unravel. So we'll have to follow
Yeah.
both and see what happens.
The connection with Canton, as far as I know, is that that's where her apartment was. So when she was found, it was the Canton police that found her and labeled it suicide.
Yeah, because they were told. There was a couple of cops on that, like the state troopers, they're all connected. Excuse me. It's
Wow.
just sad that they failed her.
Yeah.
Someone that's supposed to help you failed her
Yeah.
miserably.
It's
Sad.
so,
Makes me sad. He killed her and the baby.
right. All right, well, let's change the subject a little bit. It's getting a little dirty. We have gotten some mail from, well, email, listen, mail, was it like, this is Zoom, Bucks 350, Boston, Mass.
02149. Sunday for Zoom.
Isn't it 02134?
Yeah,
02149 was Everett.
that was the Everett zip code.
Yeah.
I just didn't know it.
That's how I memorized my zip code.
021.
So we got
Sunday for Zoom.
yeah, so we've got some email from some of our BFFers. So Julie, we're just gonna address them, maybe once a week. So we're ready to discuss them. So Julie, what was one of the questions that they asked?
So we put out one of the questions to our Facebook group, and the question is social media harming society more than it helps? And so we got some great responses. And I can name the people that responded. Is that okay, Noelle?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So Steve Winslow, his response was society ? Yes. Family ? Less so, but a little. Friendships ? Less than that. Individuals ? Depends on each individual's makeup and inner strengths. It varies. So I think what he's saying there is that it really depends, and that there is an impact on society. It sounds like he doesn't really think that it affects family and friendships, and that as far as individuals, it really depends on how they handle it. And I actually did respond to that. I had great hopes about how social media was going to make the world a smaller place. We'd be sharing information, but I think it's been really corrupted by misinformation. And I think it's really incumbent on us to use our judgment, teach our kids to be critical thinkers, and overall, most of all, be really careful about what you share on social media.
Oh, so I agree with that statement. We had expected it to be this wonderful thing that, we would have all of these connections and make all these connections that maybe we have lost over the years, which initially it did. And, when she said about not sharing everything on social media, I agree. When, my memories come up on Facebook and it says, back in 2011, you said Noelle is feeling, and then it would be like tired and hungry. I'm like, why
My
the
God,
fuck
I
would I put
cringe
that
at
out
those. I cringe.
That's
Is
funny.
at the bus stop, is picking up the kids. I'm like, what the fuck was I thinking?
Yeah, I don't understand that. Like, it's like so ridiculous. And then, it started to get like not friendly and people started to argue and all of this stuff. And we
Troll
had
you.
another one of our listeners, or one of our podcast, sorry, BFFers, Renee. She had said, absolutely, the younger generation does not know how to communicate without a device. Bullying is
true.
off the charts because they have a device to hide behind, and those that are being bullied don't know how to articulate it so that they can't get the help that they need. And I agree.
Oh,
As
I
kids,
agree 100%.
we could go home after school and escape all of that. These
Yeah.
kids can't. They
Well,
can't.
think
It's a constant in their face.
Think
So-
about this. If you're feeling left out and you don't get invited to the party, but you see it plastered all over the place, we didn't have to worry about that.
Right.
If we
right.
didn't get invited, we didn't know about it probably, and it didn't bother us. But
Right.
these poor kids, I mean, bullying, just seeing everything plastered out there, even like people our age plaster shit that I'm like, why are you putting this out
Yeah.
there?
Oh.
And then it comes back and kicks you in the pants.
I agree. I snooze people sometimes for a while because I'm like,
Do the same
I
thing.
really don't give a shit that you've eaten whatever it is. Like, I don't want to see your meals all the time. I don't want to see 60 things
Hey,
of your
correct
dogs.
me.
No, that's different. No, I followed you. That was something specific. I followed you.
How about the people that are like, oh, my new boyfriend, I'm so in love, love,
Oh,
love, love, love,
Lord.
love. They post pictures, I'm in love, I'm in
and I don't care who knows it.
love,
Yeah.
and then they get dumped and they break up, and then it's
Yeah.
like, what an asshole, blah blah. I'm like, you
The drama.
stupid fool.
Right.
Fool.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need to put that stuff out there. And then, with all the, like Julie was saying, all the fake news, the false information, and it's coming from all sides. And it's absolutely ridiculous because people are just reading, the headline. They're
Forwarding.
not reading like more into
Yeah,
it. And it's like,
sorry.
it's disgusting,
Yeah,
and
they're forming opinions and commenting on like a headline. And it's like, well, if you read the story, you would know,
Right.
A, B, C. You're
Right.
you're
Or
reading.
yeah, or they're like sharing stories that they think are current because it popped up or whatever, and they're from like 10 years ago, and they're like, oh, this is awful. And it's like,
right.
hello.
R.I.P.
that's where-
Harvey Korman.
Oh my God. It's like he died 10 years ago.
Right.
Yeah, it's crazy. For me,
That's where a lot
I
of this cancel culture was coming from because,
Yep.
people, especially comedians, were making jokes 10 years ago when it was okay to do that. And now it's not, and it's like, okay, wait a minute. You can't call someone out on something from 10 years ago, and ruin their lives because of something that was funny then,
Yeah,
it's
I
just,
agree.
it's not okay. But
I-
the bullying, the bullying, I think, is
bullying
what
is
is the
bad.
biggest, it's awful.
and I
So
feel like that's what's ruining.
yeah. So for myself, I'm an addict. I like all the different social medias. I'm on it all the time, but I'm very selective on what I follow and who I see. And when we were putting together our reunions, that was fantastic. It was the best
Yeah.
tool. You were able
Yeah.
to get
To
in
reach
touch
everybody.
with people. Yep. That was, priceless to me. But then it was like, okay, I don't really need to follow
Put
all these
myself
people.
out there, right?
Right.
I trimmed down my friends list a lot because there were people that I was like really just, barely connected with. And I was seeing like their daily life story and I'm like, I don't think I need to know
Yeah.
that.
Right.
But I do find it is incredibly helpful with my family because, you know, we have some of my nieces live, one is in Canada, one's in California, my brother's in Atlanta, and even
Yeah.
just within like New England, you don't see them all the time. So
Right.
for them to post pictures of like my great niece and my great nephew, you know, and I kind of see their progress and all of that.
Yeah, it's,
Yeah.
that's the best, that's the good part of it.
Yeah,
Right.
and we use Messenger. We have a group chat on Messenger, and we're on there all the time, and it's fun. You know, it's funny. People post funny things, and or if there's something, a family event that's coming up, we talk about that. So there's a lot of good that it can do to bring people closer. And
Absolutely.
you know, but you gotta be really careful with it. You know.
Yeah, I
Well, think
agree.
about in the beginning, you heard about all of these people making connections with like past boyfriends and girlfriends from high school or college, and so many divorces were happening. It was like
People
it was
cheating and
absolutely
all that.
crazy.
I
Yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah. So, you know, I guess with everything,
good
there's
and
good and
bad.
bad. You know?
I definitely have scaled back my Facebook. Diana is blah, blah, blah. I don't do that anymore. Waiting at the
Yeah,
bus,
right.
taking
Yeah.
a shit. You know, I mean, like, why would we post that stuff?
Yeah.
Because that's everyone was doing it. It was
I
new,
know.
it was fun, it was exciting. It was like, okay, I'm reaching out to people that, you know, I haven't talked to in a long time, and I want to know what they're doing. They're gonna want to know what I'm doing. And then after a while, it was like, wait a minute, I'm on vacation. I just told everyone in this entire world that I am
Yeah.
not home, and break into my
Right.
house, you know? Like,
Right? I know. I stopped the checking in a lot of I used to check in everywhere. And I'm
oh
like,
yes.
what's wrong with me?
Oh my gosh, there was one Foursquare that Dave and I, we had our favorite restaurant, and you could become like the mayor of that restaurant
Yes,
or
we
wherever
had
you
that at
were.
the ice cream
Right.
store.
Yeah, and I would check in as soon as we would pull into the parking lot because he was driving, and I would be like, I'm the mayor, you know. And I mean, it was fun, but then it was like, all right, Ashley would come and find us because she knew we were at the restaurant. And I'm like,
Right.
no, this
We
is a
gotta
date
hide.
night. Go away.
Yeah.
So,
But now you have Family 360, so she knows exactly.
yeah,
what it is.
right,
Like,
exactly.
yeah, like 360.
But
She
the
can
only they
stalk
know it,
you.
not the rest of the world. Yeah, not the rest of
Right.
the world
That's good.
knows it.
We're gonna have to ask that as another question though about Family 360 and what people think of that, like tracking each other and everything. I'd be curious what people think of that.
I think that's a good
So-
idea. Yeah, let's, because we know that Diana and I are on each other. So yeah, that would be
And my kids all accepted it. So I'm not like tracking them without them knowing. They
right.
know. They do the same thing to me. Where are you going? What are you doing? Why are you here?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd love to hear what people, if people, and I also have my parents on there, which is a good thing.
That's
But
good.
I'd love to know what people think about Life 360 or one of those Find My, what's the iPhone one? Just sharing or whatever. They share your location.
Location sharing.
Yeah. Be interesting to see.
Yeah, most definitely.
So
So
I
I just wanted to ask you guys, so like Noelle, you made a great point, like 10, 15 years ago, whatever, when we were doing things really differently on Facebook and on Twitter, you know, whatever was available at the time. What do you think things are going to look like even 5 years from now? Like, what do you think? What do you think how are we going to be using social media?
Oh my
So-
God, it's gonna be I mean, so right now, just social media, internet, whatever. I mean, I feel like all we do is use that, right? We shop with it, we communicate. We don't, if we can't be with you, we're zooming in, social media, updating everybody. I think we're gonna become this crazy internet-based world where like you don't even you know what I mean? You don't even have to go to a brick and mortar store. We don't even have to. That's why they're all closing.
Right.
Mhm.
No, I agree with that. And unfortunately, and I don't want this to happen, but I feel like, have you ever seen the episode on Black Mirror where people rate each other?
Yeah.
And yeah, rate.
Rate.
Yeah. So like almost like, you give someone 5 stars or 4 stars or whatever. I feel like we're getting to that point where like if you don't have 3 stars or more, then you can't get into this restaurant, or you can't hang out with these people. I kind of feel like we might end up that way if we allow it to get
More than the
that
blue
crazy.
check mark.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, those blue check marks I always thought were, I know they're verified. They actually have to pay money for that.
Now they do. When he bought it and switched it to X, he made that.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
But
But
Facebook has it, and I don't think you pay for it on Facebook.
no,
I
yeah,
didn't even
no, but I
notice
was just
Facebook
like,
had it.
wow.
I know that, X.
Right.
Yeah.
So I figured, okay, so like here you are, that's kind of the first step. You're now verified. And now people are gonna, like you for your content or how nice you are or your pictures that you take or any of that stuff and rate you
Yeah.
on that. And that's
Well,
that's a little
But I
scary.
hope not. I don't want to be
LinkedIn,
rated.
if you think about it like professionally, LinkedIn, that's the
Yeah.
site that everybody's on, and headhunters use it, employers use it to find people, people use it to find jobs.
Yep.
There's the premium version that you have to pay for, where you get like it improves who you can connect with, and improves like all these other things. So some people are getting an advantage for the, with the paywall
Right.
on jobs and things like that.
Right.
I think we're going to see more of that, where there is a almost like a class system in social media.
Yes.
But I hope not. That's crazy.
It is, but I feel like that's definitely coming. I agree. And the more that you pay, the more that you're going to be able to go up to this other level.
Just
and
like
get
everything else, I
contact.
guess.
Yep.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
so
if
that's
you
really
pay, you
where,
get.
yeah, I feel like it's going in that direction for sure, which is scary,
Yeah.
but what are we going to do? I mean, I don't know. What do you
I
do?
wish I invented it.
Boatloads.
I wouldn't be here right now.
Yeah, and it's a tricky thing, like when you get into like regulation, like should it be like the way TV is? It's not exactly the same medium, so you can't think of it the same way. But there has to be some kind of, my opinion, there has to be some kind of controls to protect people. Like at the end of the day, to protect people, not
Yeah.
to protect businesses, not to benefit businesses, but to protect people.
Yeah. Especially, kids that are on it, or, anyone that can have any type of mental issues. I mean, there's so many, because it's just out there and you can do whatever you want. You can say whatever you want. So, although that's a fine line, you don't want to be
Freedom of
governed,
speech.
but free speech, but it's like, yeah, so it'll be interesting to see. And I guess it's going to have to be up to the individual to teach their family, teach their children.
Police
this
your
is what you
children.
do. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Facebook does have a thing that if you try to share a story that you didn't actually click on and read, a little thing comes up that says you're about to share this and you didn't actually read it. I forget what the word.
Really?
Really?
Yeah. Like,
I
Oh, I
like
didn't
that.
know that.
great. Yeah.
Oh, I'll have to try that out. That's interesting. So, but no, yeah, I mean, it makes
Great
sense.
topic. So I'm glad somebody raised this whole
Yeah.
topic about social media.
Yeah,
Looking
I
me
forward
too.
also
to-
agree. I agree with Renee. I mean, I feel like I have worked with younger people, millennials. We have them down the ice cream. Are they millennials? Whatever the Gen Zs, Gen X. I don't know. Whatever the
So
younger
we're Gen
kids.
X.
Oh yeah, the younger kids. I feel like they cannot communicate. They
No.
cannot answer a phone. They cannot call a place. They cannot talk to somebody face to face. It's text only.
Yeah. Oh,
It's
absolutely.
awful.
No,
We
Nick would
failed.
never
We
even,
failed them.
when we would go away or whatever, and Nick would just order from, whatever pizza store. And I'm like, why do you go there? You don't even like it. He's like, well, it's the only place that does online ordering. I'm like, well, it's not that difficult. Pick up the phone and call. He's like, nah, I don't want to. And I'm
Right.
like, oh
Jason's
my
like
gosh, you would
that.
rather have shitty food than call and talk to somebody. I'm like, it's not that difficult,
I know 2 teenagers that were like that once.
So So that's a nice segue into giving a little plug of a guest that we have coming up next month.
Oh, I can't wait. I am so excited. And she doesn't like 3 people that follow their kids on Life 360. But she means if the kids don't know, she said if you get the permission, don't listen to this. But
Yeah.
I'm so excited. I can't wait.
Yeah, Julie, give her a plug so at least you know
Yeah.
our listeners can check her out before we have her on.
Yeah, so Kim Wunsch, she runs the Real Life Parent Guide. It is a online site and podcast. She's very big on TikTok. Really interesting lady. She is a social worker therapist working with families, particularly with parents who have kids that are, as she calls them, emerging adults. So
Yes.
exactly where our kids are.
I was just
You know,
gonna say
18
we fall
plus.
into that category.
Yep.
Exactly. And probably most of our audience.
Mhm.
And her TikToks are fantastic. I follow her. She has a book. We're really excited to have Kim
Yeah.
join us.
I
We
cannot
will get
wait.
you the updated date. I believe it's October 5th, but I'll double check that. I'll put it on the Facebook page when we have more details. But really excited to have her. Hope people tune in.
Yes, me
She's
too.
excited to join us too. So
Yeah, definitely, check out her podcast. So we're interviewing her on October 8th.
Eighth.
And yeah,
8th?
so 8th. So it'll be out probably a couple of days after that, but we'll keep you updated. And yeah, on TikTok, let me actually pull up her TikTok because it's MUNCH. I always spell it wrong. Oh my gosh. Okay, my phone just froze. Ah!
But it's Real Life Parent Guide is
Yes.
her handle.
Yeah. So check her out. She's got a lot of great stuff. Julie introduced me to it, so I've been catching up on a lot of
Same.
her things, and it's really interesting. Like even stuff I wish I knew a couple of years ago when some of my kids were younger, beforehand. But it's still great information that I can use with my current, children. That some of them have failure to launch at this point.
I don't want to, my lips are sealed.
Yeah.
But that's
All
the
right,
thing.
well-
Like I feel like it's a universal thing of our
Yeah.
kids.
Generation.
And there's
Well, I
probably
mean,
a lot of
it's
factors
this
and,
economy. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
think it's a lot of factors that we'll probably get into with Kim, but maybe generate a little conversation beforehand online too on
yeah,
Facebook.
absolutely.
Yeah, see if there's any questions people want to ask, if there's anything direct. Yeah, that would be cool.
All right.
All right, so it's been great to be back. I'm so happy that we were able to finally connect and things have settled down now that the summer is over, but we're coming up on
Kind
those,
of.
yeah, the holiday months, which is our most exciting time. So, all right, BFFers, that is it for us this episode. Hopefully you will tune in next week and we'll have some other really exciting information to share and some stuff to talk about. So, thank you, ladies. I have missed you talking to you.
It was fun.
It was.
I'm so glad you guys had a good time at your
Yeah.
little house on the prairie.
We did it. It was great. It was
Conference.
so awesome. So, all right. So, till next week. And remember, it is always better to have a friend with 2 chins than
2 faces. 2 faces.
All right. We'll see you next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to Life's Journey with Best Friends. For details on any of the things we've mentioned in the podcast, including photos, visit our website lifesjourneybff.com. You can also email us at lifesjourneybff@gmail.com, or visit us on Facebook, Instagram, or Threads.
Remember, no matter where life takes you, you are never alone when you have a best friend by your side. Until next time.